Welcome to Heat Up Your Retreats, the podcast where purpose meets planning and God-sized dreams come to life through transformational travel experiences. I'm your host, Amanda Heater, CEO of Across the Horizon Travel, retreat strategist, and passionate believer in using travel as a tool for impact. Whether you're a coach, pastor, wellness leader, or change maker, ready to lead your first or even your next retreat, you're in the right place. Let's turn your vision into a powerful, profitable, and spirit-led retreat experience. Let's heat things up together. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Heat Up Your Retreats. I am Amanda, and I'm so excited for today's guest, Emily Atlantis Wolf. Emily is a visionary retreat leader and creative powerhouse who brings together elevated experiences, deep connection, and intentional transformation. She has become known for designing retreats that don't just feel good on the surface. They actually deliver breakthrough moments, clarity, and soulful expansion. Today, we're going to dive a little bit into Emily's journey from how she first felt the call to create retreats to the behind the scenes of what it takes to design and develop an unforgettable experience. So, whether you're hosting your first retreat, you're scaling your events, or simply curious about the magic behind the scenes, I cannot wait for you to hear her wisdom. So grab your journal, your favorite retreat visioning beverage, I've got coffee, and let's dive in with my friend, Emily Atlantis Wolf. Emily, welcome to the podcast. So excited to have you here today.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm so excited to be here. I love the energy between us. I feel that we have a very similar value system, and I'm excited to be here. I really am.
Oh, I'm excited to have you here. I cannot wait for you to share your wisdom and knowledge with my community. So let's just dive into it. I've got a couple questions for you, and we'll just let our conversation flow as we go. So tell me a little bit about your very first retreat that you ever hosted. And what was the moment when you realized, yep, this is exactly what I want to keep doing?
That is a great question, which I've never been asked before. So I think there's sort of an official and an unofficial version, which means I have been the person who always planned trips. Even as a little kid, I was the one packing the car so everything was just right. I was the one on the map, making sure that we were following the right path and things like that. So I think, although I'm an Aquarian and I'm very much into the broad brushstrokes of life, there is a part of me that is just naturally organized, and I like to organize around a vision. I like to say, you don't get in the car with no idea where you're going. So you have to have a vision. That's really important. But I love to travel. So I would hear about things and I would get excited. I would be thinking, oh, I wonder what it looks like to have snow. There's a place in New York where they have this little tiny square of snow every day of the year. I don't know why, but as a little kid, I thought, I can't wait to see that. That's really exciting. And those kinds of little experiences that are location based, you can't get anywhere else, always excited me. So as I grew up and I was the one planning in college, let's go to Toronto, let's go to Niagara Falls. I was the one who was taking care of the details. And it never bothered me. It always made me happy because my whole thinking is I think of it as a frame. When you have the place that you're going, like the location, the land, and you have a place to stay, and you know where you're going to eat, and you know how you're going to get there, rail, bus, donkey, camel. I've done it all. After that, you have that frame, and anything is possible because you have a
Mhm.
framework. And as soon as you have enough of a structure in place, then you just improvise and you let it all flow and you all have fun. So I was that person in college. I was that person when I was married. And then as a single mom, I was the one saying, oh, well, we don't have a lot of money, but let me see where we can go and where we can go. And then people wanted to work with me. So I did it with my girlfriends and I did it with other moms. And as I found other people to do spiritual things with, it was sort of a natural extension where they said, oh, do you want to do that together? And I agreed, but I'll be honest, the first few retreats that I had were with other people, and I felt like I was doing all the work. I felt like I was the one organizing the details. Like they would set the vision, but not even a vision. They were more interested in what are we going to call it? I don't care what we call it. I call all of my retreats spiritual tourism. They're spiritual events where we get to act like tourists. We get to go and feel the land. We get to feel the culture. We get to feel ourselves transform. And we're going to have good food. And we're going to buy a t-shirt or a piece of jewelry or, support the local economy, something local, and be very comfortable when we sleep at night. I don't believe in being uncomfortable. I think transformation and comfort actually go together. So I was
Mhm.
disappointed because I felt like I was doing all the work. And the first official, I've hosted retreats and I've been paid to be on retreats. So I was paid to be on a big 30-person writers retreat and I did a fire ceremony for everyone. And even there, I was feeling that I was the one sort of gathering the energy, keeping the community together, keeping that space and saying, no phones at the ceremony and let's just look at each other. Let's find that real life connection. So it was through a series of events and co-hosting that I started to say, I can do this. And when I did it in Sedona for a couples retreat. I did it in Mount Shasta for a women's retreat. I did it in the UK for a women's retreat. Every retreat taught me something different. But, and I believe this is true for women, but this is particularly true for me. By the time I do something, I'm overeducated. I am over experienced. I am I'm so ready. I could have done it 5 years ago, but I want it to be great. So to me, a great retreat is where everyone can come together. So my experience of how can I get everyone to come together? You're not going to make everybody happy. I'm not trying
Mhm.
to make everyone happy. I'm trying to make everyone feel safe. So safe to express their opinion, safe to say, I'm uncomfortable, safe to be vulnerable, safe to say, I have a headache and I'm going to miss out, but I'm going to stay back. Just sort of moving into that zone of emotionally safe, physically safe, things like that. And, you know, the need for travel, I feel like I was just born with the need to see other people, see other places, taste other food, look at other people and animals and all the things. It delights me beyond words. And I don't think there's anything that really feels like living the way that a retreat does, where we just sort of scoop ourselves out of our routine and run away to spiritual camp and do fun things together, which naturally builds community bonds. Yeah, I do women's retreats. So, it sort of loosens the constraints of any kind of competition where we remember how easy it is to be together as women. That's
Mhm.
that's been my experience. So I know that's a longer answer maybe than you wanted, but
I love it.
that's kind of where I started.
I love it. I can tell you have such a passion with travel, just the way you talk and the way your face lights up. This is how I know that you and I had such a great connection from the beginning because when we talk about travel, we both were just so excited about it. And I
Yes.
love that you and I both love that to be able to create experiences to help people find transformation, to feel safe, to feel peace, to just
Yeah.
reset their body, to be able to go back and be the superwoman that we have to be as being women. We
Yeah.
just we have so much on our plates, being moms, being a spouse if we're married, being the chef, being the person that has to do
Yeah.
everything in the house. And I love that you're creating this for women to just step away, be catered to have a luxury experience, and then also reset. So
Hmm.
I want to ask you, as we're talking about these experiences that you have put together,
Hmm.
can you walk us through one of your most memorable retreats? What made it stand out, and what were the wins and the surprises that you saw at the retreat?
I would say there's two that come to mind. So one, the retreat that I did in Mount Shasta, I was not prepared for, there was a person there who didn't actually want to be part of the group. She didn't participate in the circle. She didn't, she was literally huffing. She was like, when
Oh,
other people were sharing. And I
yeah.
thought, what is going on? This is really bizarre. And I curate my retreats. They're not just on my website. You can't buy my retreats. You have to book a call and then we talk. And this is pretty much why, why I do it this way. And I
Right.
really didn't understand, but I approached her after this is opening circle, first full day. I said, "What is going on?" She goes, "I didn't really want to be part of your retreat. I just wanted to go to Mount Shasta. And now that I'm here, I don't really want to do anything but go to the mountain. That's my Apu." And Apu is like saying, my spiritual master, my connection. And I thought, one, how dare you? Like you're insulting me and everyone else that's here. And number two, there's nothing keeping you from flying from where you live to Mount Shasta any day of the year. Why?
Mhm.
Why did you do that? So I removed her. I said, that's fine. You can't stay here. You can go in town. You can find a place. You have 2 hours. We're going to be leaving at noon. You have 2 hours to figure out. And the person who's got the house said that she'll give you a ride into town. But when we come
Right.
back, you need to be gone. And there was no talk about a refund. There was no talk about anything. And I realized that I need to be curating these events to look for red flags like, why are you going? What do you hope to get out of it? Which didn't occur to me before that. And also to know that I can be strong in my boundaries and quiet in my voice, which is something that I've cultivated over years from being raised by a rageaholic and a person who is very angry as a dad. And I just stayed silent. So I went from I'm not going to be angry, I'm going to be silent to I'm allowed to be angry to I'm angry and quiet and effective. And thank you very much for being my teacher. That was one. The second one was in Egypt. I was asked to hold space in Egypt. There was 30 people and they were on two boats. I was asked to be the person holding space on one of the boats, just to be in charge of the energy, in charge of the group physically, spiritually, emotionally, what is going on so I could check in with the retreat leaders. And we arrived in Egypt. We got up at 2:30 in the morning and we were driven in buses to the Sphinx to be there at the sunrise. And I said, well, this is really interesting because I had a dream, in the hour and a half that we slept at the hotel of that's called the dream steel, the stone slab between the paws of the Sphinx open. And it was almost the Twilight Zone where it was a few steps and then another door and a few steps and another door and it spiraled down and there was sort of a galactic nebula background and things like that. And I mentioned that to the retreat leader when we were getting off the bus. And she said, oh, that means you're supposed to open up the dream steel. So you go do that for the group right now.
Whoa.
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I walked up to the dream steel in between the paws, and we were in a circle on either side. And I picked two people that were next to me and said, can you just stand here with me to hold space with me? And took us through a toning exercise where we were circling with the toning. So there are big tones in your body, the Om in your belly, the Ah in your heart chakra, and then the E, like the double E for your third eye. So I walked everybody through this ascending and then to keep that swirling around loud and loud and loud, and then turned around, put my hands on the stone, and the other two women did the same thing. And I could see it. It just opened up like a door. And I turned around and I said, okay, the dream steel is open. And they said, you did a great job. We want you to do that at the end in the King's Chamber too. So at
Wow.
the end of the 2 weeks, we go into the Pyramid of Giza, the largest of the three pyramids, right next to
Mhm.
the Sphinx. We ascend up, over, and around to the king's chamber where the king was buried, and his sarcophagus holding, like, it looks like the sarcophagus is not there, but you can see the block is still there, the hieroglyphics are still there. And they said, okay, we want you to end the ceremony and send the energy forward into the future. Okay, here we go. So I want everybody to imagine there's a flame. Yeah, there's a flame in your heart. And we're going to ohm into that. And then ah, and ah is like a star, like AH. And I want you to bring it this way and then around. Now I want you to take that fire and then imagine that that light is in the middle and we're going to create a fire and it may change color and that's okay. Just keep going. That ah, and then it's going to circle around. Ah, and when it got all the way up to the very top, my spiritual experience was I saw a golden dragon at the
Wow.
very top that was walking down each of the layers of the pyramid, and it was a sound. So if you can imagine those keyboards that kids play where you step on the keys and it makes a sound, it was
Hmm.
this golden dragon that was stepping, spiraling around. And so I just kept going until it arrived in the room and sort of exploded into gold dust. And I said, okay, now bring the fire back into your heart and bring it into your body. And let's just have a moment of silence to say thank you to our hosts and to Egypt for keeping us so well these 2 weeks. And that was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
I have the it's not just an ability, but I have the skill. I can see spiritual beings and I can see sort of through the veils, we call it in the shamanic world. So I teach people how to do that in my retreats just naturally because the veils are very thin when you're open, when you're nourished, when you're rested, when you're feeling supported. It's easy in stillness and silence to get messages about yourself, to ask about where you're going, to ask what's my next step, to ask how can I take one step forward. And I encourage that and I hold space for that. So my retreats are interesting because it's you're physically held, but you're spiritually typically kind of broken open like a little egg to see what wants to birth out of the egg. It's just that I don't advertise it that way, but I believe that all retreats do that. Mine do for sure, but I believe all good retreats hold you physically so you can open emotionally.
100%. I agree with you completely on that. And I love that you're creating those experiences. It's amazing. I love your heart behind it. Okay, my next question for you, Emily. What are some of the biggest logistical or human challenges you encountered while running a retreat? Obviously, you talked about you had someone that was at one of them where you had to, I don't want to say kick them out, but you really did.
I just
So
removed them from the circle.
and how did you turn those into growth opportunities as well? So tell me a little bit about some of your challenges, maybe outside of what we talked about in
Mhm.
the other retreats that you've done.
So, the what I learned, especially in my women's retreat in the UK, was they have an amazing transportation system, but you're not often going to be delivered right to the doorstep of the place. So the
Ooh.
closest train center, for example, is half an hour from our retreat center. And so I kept telling people, you have to make sure that you figure this out, you figure this out. When we arrived, and everybody did, everybody, kind of worked it out and got there. I I have constant feedback loop. I'm like, how was that? How was your trip? How would you do it differently if you came back next year? What would you do? And they said it would be great to have a shuttle. And it didn't occur to me and I'm just going to be honest, because I was staying with my friend and my friend dropped me off. So, and my friend was going to take me into London the week after. I thought, so if there's a shuttle, we could do one. Like my organizing mind thought, yeah, most of the flights arrive from the States between 11 a.m. and noon. So if I have a shuttle that picks them up at 2, that gives them 2 to 3 hours to get to this location. We could say like the hotel at the airport or whatever. And then they could all come together. And if they want to take their own transportation, I won't pay for that, but I will include one shuttle there and one shuttle back. And they loved it so much. And because I was asking for feedback, I said, we'll just do it now. Let's do it now. Let's call. I had a VA helping me in England, and I said we need to get, the uni taxi for this many people at this time to drop them off. And she did, and I said, "Great, it's going to be this divided by the 5 of you." Great. I said, "I already paid for it. You can just Venmo or cash or whatever, whatever, it's fine. Or wait till you get home, also okay." Um, and they loved it. They loved the responsiveness And they loved the fact that I was looking for their feedback instead of saying, you know what I think would be great? I was always saying, okay, I know, because I can feel when people are tired. I go out of my way to make sure we're having tea or we're resting from 3 to 5. Zero. We're doing zero hard work from 3 to 5. Zero.
That's smart.
We are always, and it's kind of crazy. You look at pictures, you're like, yeah, we went to Avebury, we went for coffee, we went here, but we did nothing from 3 to 5. Nothing. There was napping, there was going to like the pear tree to get wild pears and sitting outside and watching the ravens, like nothing. But because of that feedback loop, I'm always sort of saying, okay, here's what I had planned, but there's two options. We could do this in the morning and this in the afternoon, or this in the morning and this in the afternoon. Let's do a vote. What do you want to do? Who wants to do this in the morning? Raise your hand. And when there's something that's a little sensitive, one of the most brilliant things, I would love to tell you I came up with it. I feel like it was divinely downloaded. I had people, the ladies were in a circle, and I wanted to see how tired people were. So I had them close their eyes. Close your
Mm,
eyes. Raise your hand if you're tired. Okay. Raise your hand if you're really tired. Raise your hand if you don't want to go to breakfast. You're so tired. So I could check in with the group with zero shame, zero judgment, and pure honesty because everyone had their eyes closed. And I didn't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or, how could you guys be tired? We have so much to do because I respected their privacy and because I was just asking in a gentle way for that feedback. All I had to do is move breakfast back an hour and everybody was fine. The time change didn't matter. Everybody was great. So constant feedback, being able to make small adjustments, and to also find a way to get feedback privately to help extroverts as well as introverts. So I think transportation is the number one thing to pay attention to. Number one, logistics. Number two is to make sure people know what kind of place they're staying at. Not only do they have their own room, is there a shared bathroom? Is there morning light? Is there a pool? Are there going to be other people there? How private is it? Is it men only, women only? Is it, sort of making people really feel secure in the nest? Where's the nest? And also, this could be me, but I always make a point of telling people what time we're going to eat. I feel that that's important and it relieves a lot of anxiety. And I lost 85 pounds. I have anxiety about food. I need to know when is the next meal? When are we going to eat? I don't care when we eat, but I want to know we're going to eat 8, noon, 6, whatever. So
that
those are
is
my
smart.
best tips.
That is so smart. So as we're talking about this with, letting people know when they're going to be eating, what to expect, I want to know when you are designing a retreat, how do you choose the location, the
Mhm.
theme, the guest experience so that
Mhm.
it's aligning with a transformation that you want your participants to walk away with?
That's a good question. So I make a point of looking for a place where there's enough room for everybody to have privacy and community. I need to see both. I need to see privacy
Mhm.
and I need to see community. Number two, a place that has to have good food. I have to be able to find a place that has gluten-free options, vegetarian options, dairy-free options, but that's about it. Like I don't need to go macrobiotic vegan ever. And if those are not the people I attract anyway. If you're that fussy about food, it's going to be difficult to feel comfortable anywhere and you're probably not going to enjoy my retreats because I'm going to go for accommodating but not to that level of accommodating.
Mhm.
Um I'm looking for a place that can adjust the way that I do. So if we're going to have a fire and there's a fire circle, but it's raining Tuesday, I need a place that's going to say, that's okay, you can have the fire Wednesday. Not, oh no, no. It's, a little flexibility goes a long way for sure.
Mm.
And I want it to feel local. I don't want to stay at a place where I can't tell if I'm in England or Mexico or Egypt. I don't want something that's so sanitized that it could be anywhere. I want 900-year-old wood beams over
Mm.
my head. I want to see stones that were put there 1,000 years ago. I want something that feels like it's intrinsic to the DNA of the land where I'm visiting. And then for the transformation, I never overstimulate anybody right when they get there. I make a point of getting us in circle and a
Mhm.
lot of just, how are you feeling? And I go through my go-to speech is, okay, the most important things are pooping, eating, and sleeping.
I
You
love
need
it.
to drink water until you poop. Nobody's going to know, but if you're grumpy, I'm going to ask you, did you poop? Because I am a medical massage therapist in my background and I know all about anatomy and physiology. And you're not okay if we don't have you circulating and moving food through your body. You are not going to be a happy person.
Mhm.
Sleeping, whether you're a night owl or a morning person, figure out your routine. What are you doing to get, it's a sacral need. Do you need to get sleep? Do you need to get more sleep? Do you need to go to bed sooner? Do you need to get up sooner? It's like, and then eating, are the foods here available to you good for you? Are you feeling nourished? So I give them that speech, eating, pooping, sleeping, pay attention to those things. And then I do something big on the first day because everybody's excited. Everybody
Yep.
is, we're out, we're here, we did it. So the first full day, the 21st, 4th, 25th, I'm like, here we go. We're gonna go out, we're gonna meditate, we're gonna shop, we're gonna come back, we're gonna have tea and coffee and cake and a big meal, and we're gonna get together, and we're gonna have a, circle in the morning, circle in the night. And then on the third day, I just check in and I do a chi meditation. And it's a Robert Peng. Chi is sort of the golden sparkles of energy all around us that we use to create everything. So I take them through the chi is in me. I am in chi, and the chi is in me. And it's a way to access molecular energy that people are not often aware of. And it helps to regulate your nervous system and your energy intake versus your output. It's a very simple meditation, but and people, I let people sit, stand, it doesn't matter, but I just walk them through until I can feel their energy coming back to sort of an equilibrium. And then we go through and do more processing. Okay, what came up for you? How's things going? Oh, I'm bothered about this, or I'm bothered about that, or this is good, but I wish it was this. So it's just, again, how are you feeling? How are you doing emotionally, physically, spiritually? Feedback, feedback, feedback. And sometimes adjustments can't be made. You know, I'm angry that we are eating so much that I'm gaining weight and I can feel it. Like, yeah, isn't that awesome? What a problem to have. It's not a real problem. I'm not going to fix it. But then I always do breath work right in the middle. So breath work, I'm a master breath work facilitator. It takes a lot of energy, but it's always a surprise. So I do a breath work and cacao ceremony that allows them to go deep into their psyche. Usually that's why they're there.
Mhm.
Usually that's the thing where I never felt included. All of a sudden things come up like people are crying. I didn't get invited to my daughter's wedding. There was somebody on the last retreat. She didn't get invited to her daughter's wedding because she's a diva.
Wow.
And we were all like, oh, you could like collectively, we were feeling for her and for her daughter at the same time because
Mm.
we're experiencing her and yeah, yeah. And then we're like, oh, okay. Ah, that's tough.
Wow.
But at that point, we're galvanized as a group. And so it's a great place to be held. I'm super awesome at it. It's my best magic. It's shamanic drumming, holotropic breathing, in through your nose, out through your mouth, breathe till you're surprised. I have playlists that take you through the chakras, and every single person, 100% of the people that do breath work with me have an experience. 100%. Nobody has ever done breath work and said, nothing. I got
Wow.
nothing. Nobody. Nobody. I've been doing it for years. Years. 2018. Years. Nobody's ever said, eh. Most people are like, what was that? It was just breathing and music. I'm like, and a lot of magic. And then the next day, it's sort of a half version of the big day. So we're going to do something, but we're also going to start to calibrate down. And then I offer people, they can either do another breath work altogether, or we could do an ecstatic dance, which I have playlists for with an international DJ I'm friends with. So, just sort of movement and some like, oh, this has been really great. And again, journaling, processing. And then the day that we leave, because typically they're week-long retreats, Monday through Friday. The day that we leave, I give them the take the best and bless the rest. Whatever happened here, take the best of it. Whatever you didn't like, just bless it and let it go. Don't take it home. Don't put it in your suitcase. Let it go. Take the best out of this experience. Let the rest of it go. And then I like to say, you're still altered, and we've been in a beautiful bubble, and we have really done great work. Do not quit your job tomorrow. Do not do not kiss the gardener. Do not say things to people that you wanted to say that you said to us. Give it 2 weeks. Integrate, journal. What surprised me the most is people want to get back together. I mean, I'm like, wow, this was great. Love you. See you later. And they're like, no, no, separation anxiety, So I always book a follow-up call where we have a reunion and we get back together, and it's life after the retreat. It's between like 2 to 3 weeks, not too long, like long enough that, oh, you need a week just to say, whoa, what happened? I'm different. I'm not sure what to do. So, right, the sweet spot is 10 days. 10 days after the retreat, you miss people, even people that rubbed you the wrong way. You miss them, and you have questions. I had all these great dreams. I had like big dreams. I'm not dreaming. I'm at home, and we could talk about, well, what's your sleep routine like, and what kind of blue light do you have, and what do you do before to bed, and um most people are, I just miss being together. That's what I hear the most. My retreats do a good job of creating community, and people say, I don't have that.
Hmm.
I don't have that in my daily life. So tongue in cheek, I say, you want to go on another retreat?
Yes, I
I'll
love
say
it.
yes. But realistically, I also remind them that, you know, community is where you make it. And now that you've felt it, create it in your own environment, create it in your hometown, reach out. We're here to light each other's candle. You are a mobile lighthouse. If you liked what you experienced, then now you know what you want to create. Because I create it well and I love it the same way that you do, but I won't be here forever. I am a teacher. I'm teaching you, and I will tell you exactly what I did and how I did, and how the pieces put together and what's critical. But now it's up to you to be that candle in your own community. And they sort of are like, yeah, okay. Um, a little tough love, but it is what it is. So I think the best thing that happens is we understand what it feels like to be in sisterhood and to be holding each other. And that never changes. I mean, we're always going to be vulnerable to each other, connected to each other. So, yeah, I think that's the best I can offer.
Wow. I just love hearing you share about this. It just gets me excited. It makes me want to travel. So I guess my last question for you.
Mhm.
So as we're talking about traveling and like retreats, so looking ahead,
Mhm.
What is next on your horizon for retreat design? Do you have anything, any upcoming retreats? And how are you evolving with things that are happening in the world, like, and with your audience, or even like revenue streams, like around
Mhm.
your retreats?
Well, it's interesting. My retreat to England is yearly. So I have a yearly women's retreat. If you want to go to England in September, I'm going. I'm going every year. So you can always go to atlantiswolf.com. If there's something that says coming soon, trust me. It just means I'm working on it or behind the scenes. But there's always a retreat to England because I love England. It's my heart's home for sure. I'm going to be learning from some people. So I'm doing a retreat in New Zealand at the end of January because my friend has done some shamanic training. So I want to teach her how to do retreats. So we're just going to do a little like 4-person retreat where I sort of take her through the basics of that. Then I'm going to go to Peru in late August with a friend on a women's retreat. And I haven't been on hers. I've been in retreats with her, but I haven't seen her hold space. So I'm going to see how she holds space to see if there's anything I can learn from her. And we're very compatible. So I'm sure it'll be more of a finesse than I'm not worried. I'm more like, let's see what she can bring to the table. And then my shamanic friends are going to go back to Egypt and I'm going to go with them. And that's going to be a much smaller trip as well, one boat. But they've got the premier Egyptologist in the world, Emil Shaker, who was with our last trip. And he said he wouldn't be doing this anymore. He wouldn't be doing retreats, but he's sort of in our shamanic family. And so he agreed to do it for them. So I'm like, I'm over there. I am there. I don't ever want to do a retreat in Egypt. It's too much work.
Mhm.
But on the horizon is definitely Mexico. I've done a lot of work in Mexico and sort of wandered here, there, and everywhere. And I have friends in Teotihuacan at the pyramids. I have friends in San Miguel de Allende that have houses. I love Oaxaca and the Day of the Dead. So I think it's probably going to be a lot of, I've got one more place in the UK, so I could see doing 2 retreats in the UK and maybe a retreat or 2 in Mexico. So I would say just sort of stay close, stay tuned, get on my email list. And I've done co-ed retreats, but I think I'm really done. It's just a lot more work. And so I'm just going to say it out loud that I'm only going to be doing ladies retreats. It's so much easier. And at my age, I get to say yes to some things and no to other things. So I'm saying yes, I'm all in on ladies retreats because I feel that that's really my zone of excellence is that I have a strong maternal and sisterly, thanks to Wonder Woman, love Wonder Woman. But I'm all about helping women remember that sisterhood that was always there. And it's the sparks and the embers are still there. But I see myself focusing more on the women's retreats. And my friend Tina, who's doing the Peru, said, "You're going to be ruined when you go to Peru. You're going to be going to Peru every year." I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of far, and I'm going to England every year already, so we'll see. And New Zealand is really expensive, so I don't see me doing that very often. But Mexico's very affordable, very comfortable. I have Mexican heritage in my background. So, yeah, if you want to go to Mexico, if you want to go to England, I would say keep keep watching. More to come.
I love it. I love it. And Mexico is one of my favorite places as well. We've had that conversation before. We both love Mexico. So
Oh,
that's amazing. So to end this, how can people how can people find you? I think you had said your website, but
yeah.
how can they find you on socials? Do you have any events that are coming up that anybody needs to be aware of? Feel free to share that with us.
Yeah, so I deleted my Facebook account and I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, Dragon Medicine Woman, because I work with dragon energy, which is probably why the dragons showed up in Egypt. But the best thing to do is go to my website. I'm really putting all of my resources on my website, atlantiswolf.com. I've just decided to do public speaking, podcasts. I talk to everybody everywhere I go, and I want to just beef up my website so that there's one place for you to see everything. So I've pretty much redesigned it. It's just about there. I have a 6-month program that runs January through June. I do retreats in between and in the fall. So if you want to be part of a 6-month Intuition Academy program online, there's that. And then all the retreats are on there. And then my in-person events are also on there on the events page. And for the record, I do love to travel just like you. So if you are hosting a retreat and you would like to pick up a shaman and drop her into your retreat and have her do breath work, cacao, fire ceremony, and like the 8 million other things that I do, I am always open to that conversation. If you can get me there, that's half the battle. Like I am not expensive. I love to travel, just going somewhere interesting, and I have a great car. I'll drive pretty much anywhere I could drive. So also very open to being the shaman for hire for other people's retreat, now that we're talking about it.
I love it. I love it. As we're talking about travel, I want to finish with this. And this is
Mhm.
something that a quote that continues to stay in my mind, and I may be misquoting it, but when I read it for the first time, it really hit me. And I know you're going to completely understand where this comes from because you travel as much as I do. When people don't travel, it's like reading one page in a book. They're not reading the whole book. And I know that that's not the exact way to quote the quote. I think it was by Mark Twain, I think.
Mhm.
Um, so if you're listening to this podcast today and you are very fearful about leaving the country or hosting your own retreat, I encourage you to put yourself out there and don't be afraid. Take a chance, take a risk, and go see the world so you can read the rest of that book that's in front of you. There's so much to experience outside of the country.
That's true. And I will add that I didn't answer your revenue stream question because it doesn't affect me. I don't know how
Mhm,
to say this, but when you are that light, when you are that visionary, when you have that strong sense of gathering and community,
mhm.
you create your own personal economy. I have
Yeah.
had no drop in my retreats. I've had no change. I People still want to go, they want to get out. There's always a way. There's payment plans, there's trades, there's scholarships, there's a multitude of ways, but I think you just have to believe that you are creating something that people will value so much that the money will arrive.
Yes, I agree with you. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for being my guest today on our podcast. And I am just so excited to see you continue to grow. You guys, please check her out. I'll be dropping her social links and her website in the notes of the podcast. And again, thank you for listening in. And we are so excited for what is in store for the future for you and for each of our guests that are on this podcast. And as I always say, heat up your retreats in the ways that you can dream big and travel bigger. Talk to you soon, friends. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to Heat Up Your Retreats. I hope today's episode sparked fresh inspiration and reminded you that your retreat vision is meant to be realized. Are you ready to take the next step? Please send me an email at amanda@acrossthehorizontravel.com with the subject line of strategy session, and let's start building a transformational retreat that aligns with your mission. Be sure to follow, share, and leave a review so more leaders like you can heat things up too. Until next time, keep dreaming big, keep planning bold, and keep heating up your retreats.